50 years after Spanky and our gang felt their voices change, the Little Rascals are still up to mischief. Friday night, the ABC News magazine 2020 aired a Whatever Happened To profile of Buckwheat, one of the rascaliest of the Little Rascals. Buckwheat, ABC's Hugh Downs told us, is now a bagger at an Arizona supermarket. Only one problem, says our gang historian Dick Band.
Buckwheat, like Elvis, is dead. He's not giving interviews anymore, unfortunately. And I feel sorry for the poor soul who aspires to nothing higher in life than passing himself off as someone who he is not.
ABC realized they had been hoaxed after Spanky himself called 2020 and told them Buckwheat, Billy Thomas, had been dead for 10 years. With us now is George McFarland, who played Spanky, and also joining us, Mr. Bill English, who claims that he is Buckwheat. George, what was your reaction when you saw Bill English say he was Buckwheat on television?
Well, my first reaction was, what? Maybe something like that. And then I looked at him, and I was really flabbergasted because, number one, I know that William Thomas, who is the real Buckwheat, died.
What do you say to the imposter?
Well, I don't want to say anything to him except the man is he is not who he says he is.
Mr. English, why did you do this? Come forward and say that you're Buckwheat.
What do you mean, what did I do there? I know I'm Buckwheat.
But the people who worked with Buckwheat say that they knew Buckwheat just years before he died and that he's long since passed away, that you're not Buckwheat.
They've announced me dead since I've been here in Arizona, but I'm still living. So?
Well, this is your chance to sort of give us some evidence and proof that you're Buckwheat. Tell us something that only Buckwheat would know about the show.
Well, Spanky and I did a film together and in the haunted house, and they said, who that? When I say who that, oh, you can see my eyeballs. And then they say, okay.
That's something that anybody that watched the movie would know. Is there a story, George, that only the real Buckwheat would know?
Well, there are many things. I mean, if you want me to write down a scenario of or true or false questions to trip the man up, I'm not going to do that. Suffice to say that you have the names, the telephone numbers of many, many people that know Buckwheat, that knew Buckwheat. His son, by the way, William Thomas Jr., probably knows his father better than anybody. And he knows he's dead. So, no, I'm not going to get into a skunk fight on this. I'm just telling you what I know.
The real Billy Thomas has a son. How do you think this must make him feel?
What?
The real Buckwheat, Billy Thomas, has a son. How do you think this must make him feel?
Wait a minute now, young lady. I understand you had three Buckwheats. I don't know about that. I only know about the first one. And if you don't believe me, why don't you get in touch with Aaron Roach? He was our manager.
You claim that you were the first Buckwheat.
That's right. I don't know about the other two.
So how long did you work on the show?
Oh, I got out of it when I was about 10, 11 years old, something like that, my God. So most of the gang died and had no money in them days.
So don't you think that Mr. McFarland would know who Buckwheat was? I mean, he went to the effort to call 2020 and say this man's an imposter.
I spoke to her on the phone, his mother, Spanky's mother, and she said she don't know me because I never met her. I don't think. I don't know. Yeah, but so many years. But she said she never. She thought I was dead. That's what she told me on the wire.
Well, Mr. McFarland says that you are not Buckwheat, and he worked with Buckwheat.
Well, if you want to prove it, let them come see me, face to face, and I can always. They can tell who am I can tell who they are.
You know, Buckwheat always had this sort of signature face that he would do. Can you give us your face?
Can I do what?
The expression that Buckwheat always did, that sort of crazy signature face that was only his. Can you do it for us?
No, I don't know that signal or whatever it is. I know.
Well, you sort of get your mouth really big and wide and your eyes real big and like that.
I always have been big, my God, a big smile.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Just as we say goodbye to everybody, why don't you give us the old Buckwheat face?
Well, I still get the face, I guess, my guy. What do you want me to do?
Well, you're remembering some of the lines from the haunted house. Why don't you give us a couple of lines?
Oh, only one of the lines I remember. You always see my eyeballs in them days, and I smile in them days, and that's all. I was a kid then,
Okay.
a youngster.
Okay, I guess after 50 years you might be a little bit out of practice.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bill English.
Thank
Who
you.
says that he is Buckwheat.
I'm to give Mr. Buckwheat.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Buckwheat. We hear that 2020 plans to apologize for that blooper on this week's show. I guess, as they say, hindsight is 20/20. Now, another story that